one little burnout. Burnout couldn't hurt nobody, right? All right, welcome to part 3 of this install. The final part where we actually get some stuff done. Let's go. So, if you're just now tuning in, let me catch you up to speed because the last 2 episodes are basically complete catastrophe. Here's what we're doing. Crossover steering on my 1978 K5 Jimmy. Reason being is the thing makes 700 horsepower and I never upgraded any of the steering components. They're all stock, blown out, and 50 years old. Now, this install should have taken, let's say, an afternoon, but it's been a giant catastrophe because there's been a lot of parts that I had to either fix or modify along the way, and I'm not that skilled, let's face it. Among some of the things, we had a broken, worn hub that needed to be knocked out. We also learned that because I have these wonderful RCV axles that they are kind of a pain in the ass to take apart if you don't know the zip tie trick. Oh, pop it out, look at that, boom. Then there was the fun part of having to cut about 3 pounds of material out of the new reed knuckle in order for that RCV axle CV ball to actually fit in the damn thing. Oh, and we had to cut the top threads off the lower ball joint as well as lathe down the nut for that lower ball joint as well. Which brings us to where we are today. It's like day 7, we're back. I just realized I'm an idiot. Let me show you. Last night I got all excited because I was like, I finally got this thing back together because I was dicking around with this reed knuckle, having to cut off like pounds of it to get it to fit this RCV axle and having to cut the lower ball joint and messed with that for like 7 hours, but we got it. And I put this together and I was like, man, I'm pretty sure this is great, but I feel like there's something I'm missing. Of course there is. Thing for the brakes. Let's take it all back off again. Okay, so now we're back to where we started. Just gotta shim the brake a little bit, and we should be good to go. This feels like a landmark achievement at this point. I don't even want to get myself excited. Just automatically preparing for a gigantic letdown. There's one thing I've learned from this. I may not be mechanically inclined enough to be doing this at an effective rate. Starting to think that this whole thing probably would have been technically cheaper to have just taken it to a shop and faster. So to catch up to speed, at some point days ago, literally can't even remember it anymore, installed the steering box. This is a 2-wheel drive box from Borgeson, whatever, how the hell you say it, and then a 2-wheel drive drag link. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna install the whatever the hell these are called, the spacer and then the link or whatever into the reed knuckle. This is all from Off-Road Design. Again, this is not sponsored, I bought this shit. So if it doesn't work, those guys, but I'm pretty sure it's probably gonna work. Okay, anyway, let's get to it. Lather these some bitches up with some Loctite. Short threads go into the nut. Dab some of that up. So apparently hand tight is good for these. Then we're gonna go to 100 foot-pounds. Slap dip my on there. Boop! Oh, is this supposed to have Forgot the spacer. Come on, man. Anything easy on this motherfucker? Threads destroyed. Is that for this? These nuts. Got him! Okay. So now we can get to assembling these guys. Fun fact, if you didn't know, the reverse thread usually has a line on it. So you got a line on this one, and then you got the little notches on the nut. Apparently these are built to be run all the way down. And that's like the installed length. So you may be wondering, why has this been such a catastrophe and taking so long? Well, as men, sometimes it's a little bit hard to reach out and ask for help for things in life. Whether it's as small as reading the instructions on the part you're installing, or actually reaching out to somebody when life's kicking you in the teeth when you're down. But it doesn't always have to be like that. If you watch the last few episodes on this build, you know that I went through an absolute meltdown trying to figure out how to do the steering on this K5. And to be honest, I wasn't even sure if I was going to release any of that footage because of how damn embarrassing it was. I mean, hell, that should have taken an afternoon. We're 7 days deep already. But it wasn't until I spoke with a therapist that I realized that maybe you guys could relate to this and potentially benefit from it. Now look, I'm actually a big fan of therapy because it's nice to have somebody to talk to about a problem I'm facing or some sort of situation I'm struggling with in life. This install catastrophe, while not huge, is kind of a perfect example of that. Now look, this whole therapy thing, it's nothing new for me. Years ago, I actually found myself in a little bit of trouble when I got caught with some contraband in school. And part of the process for me being allowed back into school in order to graduate was that I needed to see a therapist at least once a week. And as it turns out, it was pretty life-changing. And actually, it's something I've continued to this very day. I was actually really surprised and extremely grateful when BetterHelp reached out to sponsor this series, mostly because that's the service I've been using in order to speak with a professional therapist as of lately. And I've actually been using their service for a few months now after I saw them working with Vinny earlier this year. So, here's how it works. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who is trained to listen and give you helpful, unbiased advice. And getting set up is super simple. First, you go to their site, and you can use my link. It's right here. You answer a few questions, and then BetterHelp will match you with a licensed professional that has years of experience helping people with struggles just like yours. And the best part is you can do it all from your phone or computer. So you can do phone call, video chat, or messaging, whichever you prefer. It's honestly the easiest possible way to start talking to a therapist. So the cool thing is you can get started really fast because usually they can match you with a therapist within 48 hours. So let BetterHelp connect you with a therapist that can support you from the comfort of your own home. Visit betterhelp.com/Mr. Zachary, or you can select Mr. Zachary in the little drop-down bar when you're signing up. You can get a special little discount on your first month if you do. I hope it helps. Let's get back to work. Okay, it's day 8. We're back on the K5, and as you can see, the shop is trashed because it's been taking way too long, and I am way underqualified for any sort of mechanical work, obviously, I think. I was just about to get started here, and I noticed something. This is always fun, and actually, I'm really glad that I've got these epoxy floors from Epoxy Max. That's right, get yourself some. GoShield.com/Zach. 20% off these floors. Anyway, I noticed that I have brake fluid leaking out of my caliper. So yeah, it's coming right out of here. So we're gonna check that. We gotta take this all apart anyway, whatever. But we're gonna get this steering finished up, by God. And damn it, we're finishing it tonight, because I swear to God, if it doesn't get finished, I might just give up cars completely and go back to motorcycles. Anyway, let's begin. All right, so we are going super ratchet here, and we are going to reuse this for the time being, but it definitely needs to be changed out because this thing is blown the out, and all the ball joints are wrecked. So we're just gonna get new ones. Doesn't matter. Nothing matters anymore. F it. Oh no. Guess I'll do this the old-fashioned way. Look how blown this shock is. Literally nothing about this steering has been stabilized the whole time. So before we drive this thing, yes, I will be changing this. But for now, I'm gonna keep it in here like that, so we can set the length of this guy. Torque to spec. Okay, so now we gotta figure out where the hell center is on the steering box. So this right now is cranked all the way to one side. I mean, that's pretty straightforward, the flap spot. So now we just gotta count that, see how many turns it makes. There's 1, oh, and it gets to the sticking point right there. That's 1.5, it's 2, 3. Okay, cool. So literally just gotta go to the sticking point. That should be straight. And then we wanna take and move the old pitman arm here straight back. Me, did I do it right? Now, we're really gonna find out how much we're because this frame has been, it's been reinforced like you typically would on these old square body 4x4 trucks. They left a whole lot of plate sticking out here. So as we tighten this, hopefully it's not up too far where it's hitting this, because I mean, we still got that much castlement to go through. So we might be skin of our teeth here. So we'll tighten this guy up and hope to God we don't have to do any cutting. If we do, well, f it, we're gonna cut it. Who cares? At this point, f it. You motherfucker. Okay, so I got everything installed, and you know what? It's pretty straightforward and chill, but I just noticed a couple things. Let's observe here. As I thought, there's no way that this is gonna turn because that nut is definitely gonna hit. Oh yeah, that thing ain't even tight on there too. So that is gonna be a problem. We gotta do some hacking. How much hacking? Well, I don't know. Just one more thing. One more thing. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take this thing off and we're gonna take a grinder to the frame and see if we can make enough clearance to let this bitch turn. If we can't, we'll figure something else out. All right, well, let's see how this works out, and if it doesn't, well. Oh, yeah, just barely. As you can see, you got it all clearanced up here. Should be good to go. Should be. Now we gotta see if this block is actually necessary or if they just add it, because it looks like this bar with the suspension were to cycle would smoke my oil pan. So we're gonna check that now. I'm gonna just lower it all the way down and see my clearance to my oil pan, but I feel like it might hit with that spacer on. So we're gonna check it out. So here we can really see the predicament. I mean, it's not like this thing has crazy suspension travel, but you know, even so, if it's got a few inches, it's still gonna hit that. So, damn, that thing is close as to that tire. Damn. All right, today it's day 9 on trying to do crossover steering on my Squarebody K5, which probably should have been a one-day thing, but I'm an idiot, and here we are. So today I brought some professional help. Hey, Josh.
Hi, bud.
So if you don't know Josh, we're gonna cut to a little mashup of destruction that tells you exactly who he is. Batman, baby!
I drove 3,000 miles just for this, to save you.
Rock solid guy. So first off, I want to ask you, you've done this plenty of times on these.
Yeah.
How long should this take?
An afternoon.
Yeah.
A long afternoon.
Okay. We're like 8 days in it, like I said, 8, 9, something like that. Not full days, all of them, but some of them are extremely long. It has been quite the learning experience. I called you before because when I was trying to figure out this whole knuckle situation and having to cut it out, and Josh was actually the one that told me that I was actually doing the right thing. I just wasn't doing enough of it. And so 7 hours of grinding later, we got that RCV axle to fit in there. So last night when I was thinking that this spacer was too big and I was trying to get this off, I couldn't because of the conical, what do you call those things, right?
Yeah, it's conical washers, I guess.
Yeah, well, he's got a trick to get these off. Check it out.
Super simple. So these washers here, if you look really close, you see the split in them?
Yeah.
So when you tighten it up, they wedge down in, and then eventually it clamps onto the bolt, and then with friction sticks to the steering arm. To get them out, all you have to do is loosen the nut up till it's flush with the top of the stud, and then whack it with a hammer, and the shock breaks the grip on the...
No way, it just pops out?
It pops out. If you don't have this nut and you're willing to risk the threads and you whack it, sometimes they'll shoot out and you have to go chase them.
Oh, wow.
So this is the same thing. This is just a tapered seat, similar to a tie rod or a ball joint or something. You can try to whack it here as hard as you want, and sometimes it'll come out, but you're guaranteed to mess up the threads.
Yeah.
All you gotta do is hit it right here. Hit it really hard, it shocks the whole thing, and it pops right out. You gotta hit it pretty hard, but same thing with like ball joints or anything like that.
I know the ball joint trick. You could see all the damage around all of mine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did not know that was the same. Okay. So see, look at that. Old trucks, just hit it with a hammer, things work out. I was gonna put this thing back together, but then I was taking a look here and I was slightly concerned that this bar was gonna be up too high and potentially hit my oil pan.
It is close, but like it doesn't look like it's actually gonna hit unless you jump it. So don't jump it. Don't jump it. This is on film, and you're agreeing to it. This is a contract.
Okay. Well, I mean, look, I love this thing. I'm not trying to break it in half. But let me ask you this now. So I bought this to basically, try to help cure some of my steering ailments because it was all super sloppy and it would bump steer, any kind of like unsettling thing in the road. It would kind of go all over the place. So what do you think? I mean, is this?
Well, I mean, you're still gonna have bump steer. Let's go to the other side. The old steering box, the pitman arm went front to back. You had a steering arm come off of the driver's knuckle.
Yep.
Wrapped around. Did you have a lifted steering arm on it?
No.
Okay. Well, then you definitely had bump steer.
Okay.
And it was grumpy. So the suspension oscillates. It doesn't just go straight up and down. It goes sort of in an ellipse.
Okay.
Because the spring, as it compresses, it flattens out and pushes out the center line back. And what you want is your steering to be on the same arc as what the axle is going to oscillate on. Because if it's not, then they oscillate on two different arcs and it changes the degree of steering.
I see.
Because it's essentially lengthening or shortening the drag length. When you do crossover like you've done, it's going perpendicular to the ellipse that the axle will oscillate on. It's going to bump steer less,
Okay.
but it's still technically going to have some bump steer.
Gotcha.
There's a lot of benefits to having the crossover steering. The crossover steering will keep your steering happier when you're off-roading, when you're articulating and stuff. Because like push-pull stuff, if you really flex it out, you might get to a point where like you literally can't turn one direction because everything's maxed out. This won't do that, but it will still have a little bit of bump steer. If you did it for any other reason, that's fine. But if you only did it for bump steer, you should have called me first. Because all you had to do to fix that is they have a lift arm that comes around and it's higher. So it keeps the drag length that went from the old box to the arm on the same plane as this. Because this was going down pretty low, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't that low. I mean, it's only like 2 inches of lift, but
Yeah.
you know,
Still.
2 inches.
2 inches, that's all she needs sometimes.
You heard it here first, kids. Anyway, there's some other things. So the steering needed an update. Like everything was old, right? Everything
So
was
the
from.
steering box was wore out and sloppy.
Everything was clapped. Also, I mean, one thing I didn't do that I still need to get is, what the hell do you call this bar, by the way?
This would be the tie rod.
Yes.
And this is the drag length.
Okay. So the tie rod here, both of these ball joints on either side are just roached.
Smoked.
They got like flat spots in them. I guarantee that having new ball joints there, probably having new ball joints in the knuckle as well. And then definitely I need a new steering damper, which we all know, right? Probably would have solved a lot of my ailments on the road.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah. It's all wore out. This thing's gonna drive like it looks.
Okay. But you know what? I tell you this, we learned a lot doing this, kids.
And that's what it's all about. So we'll get into more of that later. But what's the best way to check this? Should we throw the tires on, set it down? Is there any kind of like test we should do to make sure that we're gonna be clear over there?
The best we can really do is set it on its weight, and maybe we could find a curb to park on, or somebody else's car, or something.
Jump it.
Or we could jump it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, let's put some tires on this thing, and we'll flex it out and see how close the drag length gets to the oil tank.
Copy that.
Well, that's not coming out ever. God damn it. You came out. Oh yeah, look at that.
Yeah, awesome.
You know what? I realized that I don't have a sway bar in the front anymore.
It's gonna drift better.
Sick.
A little cold still.
That's what these tests are for.
I'm really looking forward to upgrading this to a port injection. On the next episode, featuring this truck, exactly what we're doing. We got all the parts in it.
Yeah, after you swap the port injection, literally nothing could go wrong.
So, driving it around for a second, they definitely bump steers worse, but I think, you know, steering stabilizer is definitely going to help. But, holy shit, pretty noticeable. So is that common, Josh?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, for all the reasons I explained. Axle's oscillating in a different arc than the steering, so you did that one to yourself. It's better for rock crawling though.
Hey, I guess this means we'll have to take this thing off-road more.
Okay.
If you pull the spacer out that's under the steering arm,
Yeah.
you'll get more clearance, but you'll also get more bump steer.
I see. Okay.
You got a decision to make. You learned a bunch.
I did.
All on your own.
So I think there's a very good learning lesson here. I feel like I spent a lot of time and money basically making this truck drive worse.
No, wait a minute. We are not ending the damn episode like this. We're not ending on a low note here, okay? Because we ain't quitters. Listen, as soon as I got back from this ride, I went online and ordered the proper sway bar kit that Off-Road Design makes to match with this crossover steering. Now, unfortunately, Off-Road Design was seeing some delays from their manufacturer of this bar, so I had to wait a few weeks until these things got back into stock. But they did notify me of this, and once they were in stock, they rush shipped them to everybody that bought them, like myself, so respect for that. While I was waiting for the sway bar, I got to installing the new tie rod and steering stabilizer, which only took a half hour or so. And when the sway bar arrived, I got to installing that. It's a super simple kit and everything bolted right up. To save you guys some time, I'm just time-lapsing this whole install because let's be real, you've seen enough of me working on this thing already. Now after I got the sway bar installed, I decided to take some of the exhaust off because let's be real, 3 mufflers makes this thing a little too quiet for me.
Goddamn freedom ring.
Once I got that all wrapped up, it was time to do a final shakedown to make sure everything works correctly. All right, let's take this little guy on a test, see how she does. Right off the bat, it feels way better. It's way tighter, way more precise. I mean, before, when you... Yeah, before, when I would go around a turn, it'd feel like this thing was gonna flip over. It was so loose and wonky without the sway bar. It's so much better now. Oh, I love this thing. So yeah, it's tracking straight, feels good. I'm hitting bumps, it's not bouncing all over the place, it's not trying to steer me left and right. Feels fun. It's way more predictable feeling, way more comfortable. Even with the broken steering column still, I mean, it is 10 times better. I love this thing. All right, so let's try a turn here at 30 miles an hour. All right. Very calm, easy, nothing sketchy. That's good. A million times better. Oh yeah, the lefts are good too, baby. Now we got to keep it relatively civil, but it's 10 out of 10. This is great. I don't have a chance to get it up to highway speed right now because I need to go back and edit this video immediately so I can post it for you guys. So we probably got time for one little burnout. Burnout couldn't hurt nobody, right? God, I love this thing. Woo! there we have it. I would say that the most impressive thing is that doing donuts in it, way easier to control. Way more flat, way more like just predictable. Before it was like, it would just yank you around. This is nice. So crossover steering, turns out great for whipping shitties. I hope that you guys enjoyed this, and sorry for making it 3 episodes and dragging it out this long, but I hope you guys took something away from it. I would say crossover steering works great in the K5. Off-Road Design did a great job designing all this and making it an easy bolt-on thing. Again, if you got the RCV axles, you got to do a little modification to the reed knuckle, but that's, other than that and my lack of skill, this was pretty easy and straightforward. So just make sure to get the sway bar if you're going to do it. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you on the next one.